So I would say at the top of the list, definitely at the top of the list, living outside of America for the sake of my family's physical health and mental health would definitely be, yeah, one of the number one reasons why I would not be willing to go back there, because what's more, and there are not very many things that's more important than that. You're living on earth, you want to be healthy. You want to be healthy, not just physically but mentally. Like you want to have a peaceful life. Aside from me being a Muslim, I don't value anything more than providing that for my family. It's very important for me in my life as a mother to make sure that my family has a healthy balance, both physically and mentally, and we're able to get that here in Gambia. I had raised my oldest child up until 19 years old in the US, so I already got a feel for almost 2 decades of what it meant to raise children in the US. And there was nothing left for me to see. I already knew what I had. I already knew what my options were, and it just wasn't it. Like, I felt like living there would be settling, and I didn't want to settle. I didn't want to settle for my life. I didn't want to settle for my children, and I just really believed that the world had more to offer than what we were used to and what we were comfortable with, in America. So it wasn't enough that, it was nearly impossible for me to shelter my children, from the indecency, from just everything, all the corruption in the US and the things that children are exposed to at too young of an age. Even though my children were homeschooled, and my children were homeschooled for years, it just wasn't enough. It's just the society, the culture, just being there. Every time you leave the house, bam, it's right in your face. Yeah, so it's a lot to get into. I know that there was something terribly wrong with the food in the US. So before we moved here to Gambia, I want to say it was at least a year. It was at least a year's time that my family had switched to regular produce, fruits and vegetables, and then we switched almost everything in the household to organics. But even still then, my son Adam, he had an extreme fruit allergy, or at least what we believed was a fruit allergy. So he wasn't able to eat. He would start itching, and he would just have these allergic reaction symptoms anytime he had fruit. Surprisingly, as soon as we moved to Gambia, literally 2 days after we moved to Gambia, I offered him, I said, Adam, how about let's try some fruit? And he was like, well, I'm always allergic to fruit. I said, it's a different environment. Let's just try it and see what happens. So he tried fruit, and he didn't have any allergic reaction. He was able to eat it. It didn't make him itch. He didn't have any negative reaction to the fruit. So he tried one fruit, and then he tried several more, and he never had those allergic reaction symptoms that he would have from the fruit in the US. And in our home, I try my absolute best to provide the highest quality nutrition for my family. We were eating basically, like I said, almost everything was organic, to avoid the pesticides and the chemicals. But at least 80% of the food in the US is GMO, if it's not organic. And then even with the organics, I have my mistrust with some of those also. But I thought, being a silly American, that we had the best food. And I thought that organic was the best. But when we came here to Gambia and I tried the fresh produce, I literally said, what in the world were we eating before? Because the food doesn't even taste the same. I feel like I never had a real banana until I came here. They're so sweet. Everything is just, oh my God, that was really a shocker to me. Really, really a shocker. The differences in the lifestyles of America and here in Africa, in Gambia, is extreme differences. With me being a mother of 8, it's definitely so much easier, for me to raise my children over here. So let me give you an example. So I actually had my 8th child a month before we moved to Gambia. So when I was preparing the trip and we were getting ready, to move, I actually was pregnant with my 8th child. But so I struggled so much. I can't even put it into words, like, to help you guys understand like how I mean, you know how hard it is. If you're a parent, you know how hard it is raising children in America, if you have even only one or two. So, but I had a house full, you know, and the pressures, you know, of the environment, the lifestyle, everything just being so hectic and fast paced, and just all of the demands, you know, all the wearing and all that stuff, you know. I don't see how, I mean, thinking about being home, like literally for one day, for one full day or 2 full days without my husband, the help of my husband, having the children at home. Oh my God, I can't even imagine being in America. But the thing about it is, here in Gambia, he's not even here all of the time because he's traveling to the US for work. So he's gone for months at a time, you know, and I have so much easier time raising my children, taking care of my children, and having them like by myself. Like I said, you know, I have other family members here, so it's not really by myself. I have my grandmother and my sister, you know, I have other family members here. But I'm saying, like, without my husband, I'm here for months at a time. I cannot, even right now, like, I cannot imagine being there and like it being the other way around. Like, I'm in America with 8 children and my husband is not there. I would be close to being crazy. Like, it's just the lifestyle. I can't describe it. It's so much easier to be a mother over here. And if you happen to be a single mother, it's easier to be a single mother over here in Gambia. Having older children and, you know, having teenagers, the things that the kids get into, like, it's just different. Like, for the most part, the children over here in Gambia, they're not exposed at such an early age to a lot of the things that the American children are exposed to. They're not into a lot of the things. I know they have stuff over here because, believe me, when we first moved here to Gambia, my teenagers were so excited to tell me, like, oh, guess what? They have drugs here. And I'm like, okay. And they have prostitutes in City Gambia. Like, they were just telling me, they were so excited to tell me about all the bad stuff that was here in Gambia. And I'm just like, okay, like, it's not going to be a perfect world. Like, there's not going to be a perfect place, you know, no matter where it is that you go. So I'm aware that they have drugs here. They have things here. If your child really, like, if your teens, your kids really want to get into something, they can definitely find it and they can get into things here. Even like with my son Adam, there was a transitioning period where he carried over a lot of the bad habits and a lot of the things that he was into in the US. He had to get that stuff out of his system. But there was hope. Like, I felt like there would be. You know, in America, while I was there, I was just like, if I can get out of this place, if I can just get out of this place, move into another environment, move into a cleaner environment, you know, for my children, I just felt like they would have a better shot, you know, and they would be better off with a fresh start. So I'm definitely happy that I did. And yeah, I cannot imagine going back there. But, and I know you're not supposed to say never. I know you're not supposed to say never, but I will say this. If I ever was forced to have to go back and live in America, then I would have to be planning for it to be like a temporary situation. I cannot see myself intentionally ever choosing, you know what? I think America would be a better place to live, so let's just go back there and just live there. Like, no, I cannot see myself ever choosing that. Like, if I was forced to go back there, I would have to be actively working to find another place to go. Even if I decided, you know, I'm not staying in Gambia. Like, even if I decided I don't like Gambia anymore, or Gambia is not working for my family, I would definitely choose another country. There was really nothing easy about the decision, you know, that was made to leave America and move here to Gambia. It was a very difficult decision. It was a very difficult transition. It was very, very scary. It had to have been like the scariest thing that I ever did in my life, mainly because I knew that my husband wasn't going to be here the whole time. So aside from me, you know, trying to raise my children partially with my husband, traveling, outside of that, I had my marriage to worry about. That was a very, very scary thing. Like, I had never been separated from my husband before. And just thinking about like what could happen. Like you think about the worst case scenario and like what's the worst thing that could happen. You know, maybe the distance would push you further away, you know, because like my home was under a lot of pressure. There was like a lot of pressure, stress, and tension in our house, not to be exposing our business and everything like that. But you know, I can't say that we were in the best, healthiest place, you know, before making the move to Gambia. It was just a very, very difficult time. It definitely put pressure and strain on our marriage, you know. And so it was a really scary thing, like moving here and knowing that my husband would be traveling and he'd be gone for months at a time. And I know couples that have split over this move, that have moved not just to, you know, different countries, but it to Gambia specifically. I know of couples that have moved here to Gambia and you know, they divorced, like it didn't work out. So that was very, very scary, you know, for us. And but I just had to be positive and I had to be hopeful. And everything you do in life has risks. You know, you have to weigh it, and you just have to, you know, trust in God and, you know, purify your intentions and just be willing to do your best, be willing to sacrifice, compromise, and everything. But how this move has affected our marriage, it has definitely been surprising to me, because what I expected, I was expecting, I just wasn't expecting it to be good, to be quite honest. Like it's hard being a mother and a wife, obviously. In American culture, it's like your motherhood comes before being a wife. Unfortunately, we know that in our religion, if you're Muslim, you know that you're Muslim, your wife, and then your mother. But American culture, no, you're a mother first before everything else. So, you know, being born and raised in America and being a mother, you know, most of my life now, 20 years I've been a mother, you know, I feel like my priorities had shifted from being a wife and making sure my husband is good and taking care of him and putting most of my attention, that I feel like a lot of my attention was diverted to being a mother. And it took me like a while of being away and, you know, being here in Gambia to be able to really like reflect and everything. But anyway, I say that to say that I feel like although we're not even together the whole time, I feel like my marriage has benefited from this move, and we're definitely in a healthier place because I'm able to give my best self. I'm able to give my best self, and I'm able to, it's hard to explain, you know, but I'm able to be a better wife. And then my husband also, he's able to be a better husband, because when he comes here to Gambia and he's here for however many months he's here, he's able to focus his full undivided attention on me and on the children and on our home. And, you know, we're able to spend good quality time together. He's able to rest, get caught up on his rest, and not have to worry about, you know, I have to wake up early in the morning and fly out the door and go to this job. And, you know, so God is the best of planners all the time. It was a very, very scary thing and very hard, and it's still hard. I cannot like pretend, oh, after some time it wasn't difficult anymore. It's still hard, especially now. I'm pregnant, you know, like I'm 5 months pregnant. Mashallah, alhamdulillah, this is baby number 9, you know, and so it's very, very difficult. Like this time, if I ever did think about moving back, it was at this time, going through the hardships of pregnancy, not having my husband. Like I did get to a point to where I was like, well, can I do this? Like, should I move back? I even considered moving back like for a little while just to have him, you know, until all of this is over and everything. But you have to weigh the pros and cons. And I weighed the pros and cons of what it would mean to go back to America, even temporarily,